Good morning, Rabbi Isai. The Nishmasimi Merosi Rusvas Mordechai live from Greece, from Athens, from Yavon. If I had an oilam here, we'd be singing Ahoy Vavonim Nikbit. We made it. We finally made it. We're in an Airbnb in Athens. It's 1:45 a.m. on the way to Chicago. A couple of delays, a couple of snafus. But Baruch Hashem, we made it. We're here. We're not going to do emails, I don't think. And there's people trying to sleep here. Mishpacha. MDY official edition Masechtas Chullin volume 3 now available for pre-order. MDY.com/Chullin. If you pick it up by a satellite location, there's no shipping. We won't do video email. I'll just show you this very cute clip. Well, I want to say Shalom Aleichem to a very chashuv guest. What's your name?
Eli Stefansky.
From Lakewood. Sure, and you've been with us for how long?
More than 2 years.
2 years. How old are you?
15.
From 13? Wow. Like 700 daf. What do you say about it in yeshiva? Yeshiva doesn't watch, don't worry about it. What?
I'm a truck driver.
Really? Wow. They call him a truck driver. Daf truck. Somebody driving a truck who's watching it live.
Sure, Nachas.
But he swims against the stream to learn Torah.
That means you're alive.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yivaldik. Okay, wow. Truck driver that learned 700 daf. It's jealousy. Remember, they're jealous. All right, but you do well in Niyun. You're okay in Niyun? Good. And it helps, no? You study this and you're in Musagim and... Okay. Wow. What? See you in the 9 days?
I don't know if he invites his friends to see him in the 9 days.
They like truck drivers in the 9 days. Okay. It hurts. Okay, so, the lighting in the basement is so much better. It's geschmack. So when Yeshiva Bachram ask me, I always tell them, you got to stick to the Iyun. You're in Yeshiva to learn Iyun, and Iyun is more important. But it doesn't hurt to learn Bikiyas on the side. If you're going to learn it Ben Azdarim, you're going to learn it Ben Azmanim, it doesn't hurt. All right. The official edition MDY Shas, the Masechta by Zevin Yal, Shulov, Perek, Ruvain, Harrison, with much gratitude to Rebellion, the whole MDY team. Thank you, Ruvain. Official edition MDY Shas, Daf Pei Aleph, Nisim and Esther Akilov in honor of the Akilov family. The Masechta by David Salomon, dedicated memory of Avimayr Reb Shmuel Baruch Ben Reb Chaim Tzvi Doi Zichron Levracha. The Apologetic Family Foundation, may our Libanat Torah during the 9 days bring us closer to Yemei Geula V'Simcha, Anonymous, and thank you to Chief Benny. Shmuel and Ahova Schuster for continuing Atzlocha Nachas from our children, Anonymous for complete refuah Shlema, and our Chesiyov to Leah Basester. Chaim and Leah Levy in honor of the MDY family, Anonymous for my birthday, and as the schos for the Atzlocha of my family, Baruchni and Begashmi. Ari Simon refuah Shlema of Imori Baruch Ben Miriam. The Tzvi's refuah Shlema to Rivka Naomi Basli Shiva Batya, the Muncie MDY firefighters, Lina Nishmas, our unforgettable chief, Chaim Gabriel Ben Ari Yoel Jacobson Zechron Levracha. Weekly sponsors the Spanish year, sponsors the big refuah Shlema to our close friend, Naftali Herzman, Chaya Pesio, Anonymous, the Schos Yitzchok, Mino, Hadas, Batyo, Ben Bas, Malka, Yuta, and finally the Zivug, and all in need. Daily sponsors Anonymous in memory of my brother, Ben Zion Chaim Ben Yisrael Eliyahu, Sruli Bernstein, Lili Nishmas, Freda, Razel, Bas, Avram, Yitzchok. MDY Art Month, L'Refuah Shlema Mordechai Ben Esther, L'Refuah Hayela Daniel Zev Ben Hayela Esther. Boys, we have a very geschmack daf. In Yavon, I don't know if I ever gave a shir in Greece. I was in Greece, so I probably did give a shir here. I just don't remember. Yeah, I'm sure I did. Because I was here for at least a day or so. Uh-oh. What happened? Oh. At an emergency stopover. I thought you were saying it's an emergency. I have Mark Ashkenazi on my computer writing emergencies, like, "Oy vey, what happened now?" That's what happens. I took a room for a few hours and I gave a shiur. Okay, shkoyach. Thank you, Mark. I see you. Oh, let the fun begin. We have 3 weeks of Ben Azmanim. We're going to be together twice a day. Givaldik. Rabbi said we're holding 10 lines from the bottom of Daf Pei and the Beis, and Beis Hashem will catch up to where we're going to be caught up to. Yesterday was really bad. We started the shiur on the top of Ayin Testament Beis. Now we're making our way. Says the Gemara, we're talking about Oisei Ves-Benoi. The Isser to Shecht, a mother and her offspring, a father and his offspring, according to Chananya, and we pass like that. As the Gemara, there's another Isser. When you Shecht the second animal, you Shecht the mother and then the son, or you Shecht the son and then the mother. It doesn't matter in what order. When you Shecht the second one, it's Mechusar Zman. Nami Mishum the Mechusar Zman. We're talking about Korbanos. You're not allowed to bring the second one as a carbon at all. You have to wait. And since you brought it, you should be over on another Isra. And therefore, instead of getting 39 Malchus, you should get 78. You should get double the amount of Malchus. You're over on a lav called Lo Yiratza. Tamad Lo Yimar V'Shav. It says Sarua V'Kolud. Let's see if I can find. I know that it was here. Here. This is Sarua. Sarua is when one leg is longer than the other, like in this depiction. The kolot is when the hooves are not split. So if you bring a carbon like that, leave it al absalon shubashav shubaseh shubalo yiratza yoiver lo yiratza. You're gonna have to excuse me. I'm gonna drink from the bottle. I already made a bracha. This Airbnb came with water. Baruch Hashem. It's very hot here in Greece. I might have to take off my jacket. Leave it out. Says the Gemara, I'll tell you why. You're right. He's over. But I'm only counting whatever has to do with our sugya of Oisiv is Benoi. Lavin uchroi, side lavim, like a chashav, I'm not counting. We're not talking about that right now. As the Gemara of but we are talking all these cases that we're actually going to speak about more today. Remember, yesterday we were speaking about this, for instance, this chart right over here of one carbon inside, one carbon outside. And these are Isurim, Kores, and Lav of Shechting Korbanos outside of the Beis HaMikdash. So let's maybe go to the real case. Let me see if I can find it here real quickly. Here, Kachim Achutz, very good, this guy. So when you shech two korbanos outside of the Beis HaMikdash, so on the first one you're over kares, and there's a lav. So says the Gemara here, we're talking about this lav of outside, nothing to do with the oisev is benai. This is a lav of shechting kachim outside of the Beis HaMikdash. You're right. The second one, okay. Why does the first one get malchus? Lav the shchutei chutz. Isn't it because of the lav of shchutei chutz? Says the Gemara, you're right. If there's nothing else to count, so I'll tell you the other lav, the one that's not important to our sugya. But anything that does have a lav of which is our sugya, then I'm not going to talk about side lavim. So in our case, when there's the lav of oisiv b'nai, and that's what we're concerned with. So I'm not going to tell you, and by the way, there's another lav. That's not important. But if one of the korbanos doesn't have any lav at all, there's no oisiv b'nai. The first one doesn't have oisiv b'nai. The first one you're allowed to shecht. You're allowed to shech the mother. You're just not allowed to shech the son after you shech the mother. So when you shechted the mother, there's another lav because you did it outside of the English. So then I mentioned the other lav. Okay, aside sugi. Reb Zeira Omar, and that's today's daf. You know why there's no malchus? Because it's not a lav. In order to get malchus, it has to be a loisasei. It has to be a negative. This is a positive. It's an aveira that's a positive. Why? My time with Omar Kro, miyoim hashmini v'hala yeratza. The Torah says they could only shecht an animal from the 8th day on. Miyom Hashmini in Mikar Eloi. From the 8th day and forward, you have a positive, meaning if it's less than 8 days, then it's a negative. Mikar Eloi. So therefore, Lava Bobaklal Asay. This is not a lav. This is really an asay. It's a positive commandment. It's a mitzvah asay to not shecht before the 8th day. And if you do, you're over on an asay. Taisa says this is not a typical lav anitik asay. Typically speaking, the classic is when a person steals, so v'heishav is agzela. There's a remedy to what you did. Over here, it's not a remedy. It has nothing to do. You should bring a carbon on the 8th day, and if you bring a carbon on the 7th day, you're over. Ask the Gemara, but this pasuk of Miyom Hashmini v'Hala, I need it for something else. Look at the Rabbi Abtoriki, Rami, he asked a contradiction. An animal. We don't have to show this video again, but just to remind Olam. Remember, animal has to be at least 8 days old, but it says in the pasuk it should be 7 days by the mother. Mashma, that the end of the 7th day, the beginning of the 8th day, that evening, it's mutter. That's on the one hand. Halayla chazi. At night, it's okay. Uchsev, and it says, miyom hashmini v'hala yiratza. It says, but only from the 8th day on is it okay. So which one is it? Is it the 7th day at night or the 8th day in the morning? Contradiction. Miyom hashmini v'hala in layla loy. Okay, tzad. So what do we do to fix this contradiction? Layla ligdusha. The 7th day, once the 7th day is over, that night, you could be mekadesh. You could say this is a carbon. You could be magdish it. Yaim, but the morning, 8th morning, that's lahartza, that's to bring the carbon. Akoparim, I need this pasuk to tell me that at night you are magdish a carbon. You say this is going to be a noila, and in the morning you bring it. Says the Gemara, ksiv krachrina king tasel sharcha l'tzeinecha. You're right, but there's a very similar pasuk, a second pasuk, and that allows us to learn both limudim. That first of all, it's a lav hanitik lasei. It's not a pure lav; it's more like a positive commandment rather than a negative, and therefore there's no malchus. And the other thing is we're going to learn that you could be mekadesh, magdish a carbon at night, and you bring it in the morning. And now we're going to go back to the sugya that we had yesterday. Today I did the sugya in the Beis Medrash at 4 p.m. The Beis Medrash had a lot of people. I couldn't believe it. I thought, I came in, walking there, I thought, okay, there's going to be 4 or 5 people maybe. I don't know, like Benny and a few others, some of the standard guys that come for every shir. Beis Medrash was packed. I want to say there's 50, 60 people. And to do it with an audience is a lot more fun because I would just say the word and they all said the answer. I would ask the question, say the answer. So I'm going to ask the question to you, you'll say the answer at home to the computer. Omar Rav Amnuna, Oimer Hoy Reb Shimon by Yochai, we said, Ein Oisoi ve'ez benoi noyeg b'kodashim. Says Rav Amnuna, and I mentioned it at the end of Shir yesterday, and it comes out that according to Reb Shimon by Yochai, there is no isser of shechting a mother and her son the same day when it comes to korbanos. Why? Because Reb Shimon Bar Yochai holds that in order to be over on Oisves B'nai, we know you have to shecht the mother and then you have to shecht the son. You can't kill the mother and shecht the son. You have to shecht. All of them have to be shechted. But the thing is, according to Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, the shchita has to be a shchita that's roi for eating. Has to be a shchita that accomplishes that you could eat. So let me ask you a question. What if you shecht an animal, according to Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, and you find out that it's a treifa, you can't eat it? Is it also to shecht the son? And the answer is no. We're going to learn today in the Mishnah, at least according to the Mishnah, that when you shecht a treifa and you find out it's treif, there's no issue to continue in shechting the son, because it's not a shechita that made it available for eating. Oh. So Rav Shimon Bar Yochai says by a carbon, when you shecht it, it's not available for eating right away because you have to throw the blood. And that's another step. But at the first step of shechita, at that point, it wasn't available for eating, and therefore it's not considered a shechita for eating. So let's see inside. My time, even though Rav Shimon shechita, it has to be raw, it has to be available for eating. Otherwise, it's not considered a shechita. Shechita is kachim nami shechita she'enu ruyahi. Since when it comes to carbon, you have to throw the blood. You have to sprinkle the blood on the mizbeach, and until you do so, it's not a good carbon. So meila shechita at that point is not a good shechita. Masav Rava. So Rava asks a kasha. Oisav es b'noi kadashim b'chutz. Oh, so let's go back to that case that we had before, and let's do this together. Let's play the game. Rabbi Yisai, you have two animals that are karbanas, and you shechted both of them, the mother and the son, outside of the Beis Hamikdash. So the mother, when you shechted the mother, you're over on shchutei chutz. You get kares, malchus. But according to Reb Shimon, it's not a good shechita. If it's not a good shechita, then there's no isser of Oisiv es benoi. And if it's not a good shechita, it's available to shecht inside the Beis Hamikdash. The son is available, the second carbon is available to shecht inside the Beis Hamikdash. So let's see the Gemara. Masiv Rav Oisiv es benoi kadoshim b'chutz. You have two karbanos outside the Beis Hamikdash. Reb Shimon Omer sheni b'lo yisaseh. You get malchus on the second one. Shahayir Reb Shimon Omer, and that the Gemara is going to ask right away, what do you mean malchus? You should get kares. You shechted an available animal that you could shecht inside the Beis Hamikdash. Because according to Chachamim, the second one is not available to shecht in the Beis Hamikdash. So you don't get kares on the second one for shechting it outside of the Beis Hamikdash because it's not available carbon. But according to Reb Shimon, the second one you could shecht today in the Beis Hamikdash. Why? Because the mother doesn't count. The shechita doesn't count. So the second one has nothing to do with the first one. So since it's available, you should get kares. That's Gemara's question in a second. Since it's going to become available soon, so then it's a you get malchus, which we have to understand. No, if you don't get kares, you don't get the lav for shechting outside of Beis Hamikdash. And we asked the question: the second one is only a lav. The first one you never shechted because the shechita doesn't count. So the shechita is considered a bullet to the head. It's like killing the animal. It's not a shechita. It's as if you killed it. So if you killed it, sheni mikabel v'nimu. So therefore, the second one is available to be shechted today, right away in the Beis Hamikdash. And you didn't shecht it in the Beis Hamikdash. Where did you shecht it? Like in this chart, you shechted it outside of the Beis Hamikdash. Oh, so you should get kares on the second one, just like you get in the first one. Kares not in the chayv. Rava. So Rava answers, V'amri lo kedi, and some say just an anonymous. Chesuri mechser Rav achikitani, you're right, it's missing a word or two. Kadashim shneim b'chutz, the Rabbanon Rishon Onish Kares, Sheni, Pasol, Upater Meladish Chutei. Like we said before, that according to Chachamim, the first one you get Kares, the second one you pater from Shchutei Chutz. But we have to point this out. You're pater from Shchutei Chutz, but you are chayv according to Chachamim on Oisiv es benoi. You shechted the first one, it's a good shechita according to Chacham. Only according to Reb Shimon it's not a good shechita. According to Chacham it's a good shechita. And then you shechted the son that same day. You're chayiv and oizav is benai. What you're not chayiv for is the kares and the lav for shechting outside the Beis Hamikdash. Why? Because the second one is not available according to Chachamim to bring today to the Beis Hamikdash. But according to Reb Shimon, shnei manushim kares. But according to Reb Shimon, since the first one's shchita is not a real shchita, it doesn't affect the second one, and the second one is available in the Beis Hamikdash, and you shechted it outside the Beis Hamikdash, boom, you get kares for the second one. Now, another case. Here, this is Reb Shimon. Let's just see Reb Shimon. According to Reb Shimon, you get kares and malchus even for the second one. Echad b'chutz ve'echad b'fnim. If you shecht, chart 22, if you shecht carbon number 1 outside, so let's do the math. You shecht the first one outside, so what happens? You get kares and malchus of shechting outside. The second one, that you shecht inside the Beis Hamikdash, is not available to shecht right now, so you don't get the kares and the malchus. But according to Reb Shimon, the second one is available to shecht inside the Beis Hamikdash, and you shecht it inside the Beis Hamikdash. Perfect, beautiful. It's kosher v'yasher. So let's see inside. Echel v'chutz v'echel b'fnim. L'Rabbanan rishon on kares. The first one you get kares. Sheini pasel u'pater. The second one is not available for the Beis Hamikdash, so it's pasel, but you pater. Reb Shimon, you pater. Why? Because you didn't shecht shchutei chutz. It's not available, so it's not a real carbon. Reb Shimon, sheini kosher. The second one is perfect. Okay. But according to Reb Shimon, there's no eis of his benai. Why? Because the first one that you shechted, there's no shechita. It's considered killing. And when you kill the mother and then you shech the son, you're not over an eis of his benai. What about if you reversed it? You did the first one inside the Beis Hamikdash and the second one outside the Beis Hamikdash. Givaldik. First one inside the Beis Hamikdash is beautiful. It's perfect. Second one outside the Beis Hamikdash, according to Chachamim, you over an eis of his benai. According to Reb Shimon, there's no eis of his benai. Chayiv kares. Let's see. The Rabbanan region kosher potter. The first one is perfect. Sheni pasol potter. The Reb Shimon sheni belois hasa. What's the lois hasa? Of eis of his benai. Why? Wait a minute. Rav Amnuna said there's no eis of his benai when it comes to kachim according to Reb Shimon. When it comes to karbanas, there's no eis of his benai because everything is considered a non-shchita. It's not a good shchita. Why? Because you can't eat it. The first animal wasn't considered a shchita at all. So you should get kares for shechting the animal outside of the Beis Hamikdash. Kares tamir lechayev. This is what he meant. Typically speaking, shchita helps that what shchita you wouldn't have oisev benoi. So there's no malchus oisev benoi b'kachim, no b'kachim. Even the kavod lezarik dam lemishter basar, because as long as you don't throw the blood, you're not allowed to eat the meat. Be'idna the koshachit, and when you do, and when you shech the animal, we don't know if you're going to throw the blood or not. Some people don't throw the blood. Sometimes the blood spills. So the Adam, the witnesses, can't come and say, "Hey, by the way, what you did, you're gonna get malchus now." They can't warn him. You can't warn a guy and say, "Listen, you're going to be over on oisves benoi." Why? Because I don't know if he's going to throw the blood. Anytime you have a unknown in the warning, then it's not a good warning. Says Gemara. Vaz the Rava Tamei. And Rava goes according to his own shita. The Omar Rava. He Chullin ubena shlamen. If you have two animals, one, the mother is a mundane, a regular, typical animal that you would eat at home, but her son is a carbon shlamen. This is a Mordecai Maisa, that when the famous story when Ben Gurion went to visit the Chazon Ish, try to convince him about the army and different things, so the Chazon Ish wouldn't look at him. And later on, and what's interesting, I said over the story in the Hebrew Shir, and Reb Aaron Gertner, he's a Rebbe in Cheder, he sits right next to me every Hebrew Shir, and he says that he learned by this guy, and he knows the story to be factual. that he heard the story from him. That day, Ben Gurion went and had lunch with the Sarah Chinuch. His name was Zalman Aran. As I'm saying the story, Aaron Gertner says Zalman Aran, like he knew the names. And he tells him, listen, I just met Rabbi Karelitz, and I'll tell you, he has a lot of nerve, a lot of, what's the word? Ometz. He has a lot of, what's a good word for ometz? He has no fear. He's fearless. Something like that. Audacity? Okay, audacity. I'll take it. It's a lot of audacity. But audacity is a little bit of a negative word. Has some negative connotation. But anyway, a lot of very brave. Okay, that's probably the very brave. Why? Because he's sitting in front of the prime minister of Israel. He's not looking at him, and he's correcting the prime minister, and he's arguing with him. A lot of courage. Okay, courage. That's a better word. And as he's saying this Zalman guy's daughter, young daughter, overhears the whole conversation. Years later, she gets engaged. And the family of her chassan, she wasn't religious, said, everything's good, but we're making a condition. You have to light Shabbos candles. Don't keep anything but Shabbos candles. Daven by the Shabbos candles. So what does she daven by the Shabbos candles? For years. That her son should have courage and audacity and braveness like Rabbi Avram Yishayahu Karelitz from Bnei Brak. Like Rabbi Karelitz from Bnei Brak. Years later, her son, that son that she used to daven for, became a Baal Tshuva and became a very chashuv person. His name is Baruch Hyman. He was just nifted 2 years ago, very young. He was nifted in his early 60s. And he was Aaron Gertner's Rebbe, and he told him the story. His mother would daven. He Chullin. She might have been Chullin. But her son turned out to be Shlamim. Shochat Chullin. So, the mother is a regular animal. The son is Shlamim. Shochat Chullin v'achkach Shochat Shlamim. If they shechted the regular animal and then they shechted Shlamim inside the Beis Hamikdash, potter. This goes according to Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Why a potter? Potter from Oisav is Benai. Because when you shechted the mother, the shechita doesn't count. Sorry. The shechita of the son, of the Shlamim doesn't count, yeah? Potter. So the shechita of the second one doesn't count. Shlamim v'achkach Chullin. But if you shech the Shlamim first, and then you shech the Chullin, chayav. Why? Because over here you have Asras Vadai. You're saying definitely because there's no Zrikas Adam by the Chullin. I'm not concerned that maybe throw the blood, maybe you won't throw. There's no throwing blood. But listen to this. It changes when we're talking about an oila. By Shlamim, there's one halacha. Oila is another halacha. Why? Because when it comes to Shlamim, there's a part that you eat, there's a part you don't eat. When it comes to oila, there's no parts that you eat. The whole thing goes on the Mizbeach. So what happened? You shechted the Shlamim inside the Beis Hamikdash. If you shech the Chullin first, and then you shecht the Shlamim second, it's a Hasra Safek. I don't know if he's going to do Zrikas Adam or not. But if you shecht the Shlamim first, and you threw the blood, so Mela, now when it comes to the Chullin, it's Hasra Zvadai. Says the Gemara, but when it comes to an Oila, he Chullin ibn Oila, loy mebay shachat Chullin v'achkach shachat Oila, the potter. Certainly, if you shecht the Chullin and then you shecht the Oila, over there it's for sure Hasra Safek. Because I don't know if he's going to pour the blood or not. Says no, Isra Vayis Benoi, Daf Pei Aleph, Amid Beis. Ella, Afilu Shachat Oila, v'achkach shachat Chullin. I think there's a few charts here, but I don't think they're necessary. Here we're holding by this chart. In both cases, you potter. Even if you shachat doila first, v'achkach shachat chulin, potter. Why? Shchita kamaisel av shchita basachili. Since it's not counted as a shchita. Why is it not counted as a shchita? Because nobody gets to eat the meat. And we said that in order for shchita to count, it has to accomplish that you could eat. And since by oila, no one is eating the oila because the entire thing goes on the mizbeach, so it didn't accomplish eating. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yaakov, I love this. He says, no. What do you mean nobody ate? The mizbeach ate. We know when it comes to pigul, we're not going to go into the sugi of pigul, so don't worry about it. Pigul just means that when a kohen has a thought, as he's shechting, as he's doing one of the avodas, he's thinking that the animal, the carbon, is going to be eaten outside of its allotted time. So let's say you're allowed to eat it for 2 days. He thinks that in 3 days from now, he's going to eat the steak. But it's more than that. If you look at this chart, there's 4 types of eating when it comes to carbon. There's the zrikas hadam, throwing the blood on the mizbech is a type of eating. It's a type of food for the mizbech. Putting the imurim, the parts that you put on the mizbech, the fat, the kidney, whatever you put on the mizbech, that's also eating of the mizbech. The mizbech is, so to speak, eating those imurim. So Mela, oila also has eating. It's a shechita that accomplished that you could eat, that the mizbech could eat. My time. What's the pshat? Lo makro. A double lashon. Achila achila. Ha'choil yeochel. Shlamov. Torah is talking about 2 different types of eating. It's not just when you eat a steak, it's also when the mizbeach eats the imurim or the zrikas adam. Where was I? I was in a safari once. I didn't tell people where I was. And they were able to see from the water bottle. They just Googled it and they saw what country I was in. I remember Shalom Rand said me, oh, you're in South Africa or something. I don't remember. Anyway, Zogt, the Heilige Mishnah of Pei Alpha and Beis, will do the sponsors. Let me just, before we do the sponsors, there's a video. Yeah, let's do the video and then we'll do the sponsors.
Hello. What? You just slaughtered the mother of sheep 39? Understood. So the law of it and its offspring applies to him. I'm moving him now. Nobody slaughters him today.
Puts him in a special place if it's benoid, since they slaughtered the mother, you can't slaughter it. Very good. He's chayiv karas because he's shechted the mother and the daughter and the son in one day. So maybe the editors will show Yitzchak Yehuda, the famous drummer from the Hebrew Shir. He brought his son to Shir today, and the son was mesmerized. He's like looking with his eyes open. It was very cute. And somebody caught a picture of the father and son just looking and watching it. And the kid that goes, after this video is over, first of all, in the middle, he goes, is he a Ganav? Like, he sees the guy with the mask. And I asked him, I said, what happened? He says, he got crushed. A small, young kid, 6-year-old. And he says, play it again. I want to see it again. Anyway, so hopefully the editors have that picture. They could show you what he looked like. It was great. My boy said, Givaldik is sugi now. If you shecht, according to Reb Shimon, that the shechita has to be a shechita that accomplishes that you could eat it. So what if you shecht the animal and you find that you can't eat it? It's a treifa. Hashoichet la'avodah zara. You can't eat this animal because you shechted it for avodah zara, and avodah zara is also bahana. V'hashoichet paras chatos v'shar haniskal. If you shecht the para aduma, we have videos for all this, but whatever, we'll show it. Why not? So it's not available for eating, the paraduma. Vishar haniskal, and an animal, let's do shar haniskal. There we go.
I have a job for you.
I'm coming.
Yeah, I will be there shortly.
Dispatch, I've lost visual on the suspect. He's disappeared into the herd.
You're not allowed to eat the shar haniskal if Bezdin passing that it's chayiv misa, etc. The egla arufa. Should we show the egla arufa? Hold on a second. It's kind of long. It's a lot of stuff. If you find a person dead between two cities, you measure, you don't know what it is, you measure the closest city, has to bring an egla arufa, the calf, and you decapitate it, and you say, Yedenu lo shafkus nadam hazeh, kaper la'amcha Yisrael shepdisa.
ידינו לא שפכו את הדם הזה, ועינינו לא ראו. כפר לעמך ישראל, אשר פודיתו.
So Reb Shimon says in all of these, there's no oisev is benoi when the meat is not available to eat. The shechita doesn't count. The Chacham say no. There's still oisev is benoi in such a case. If you shecht and you did the wrong move, you did one of the things that caused the shechita not to be a shechita, like you did shehiyah, chalad, or whatever it is. You rip out the simanim, you chop the simanim. You're not shechting. Pater mishum oisev is benoi. Oisev is benoi is only when you shecht. Oisev is benoi lo yisishchatu b'yoyim echad. You're not allowed to shecht, but if you kill the mother, then you're allowed to shecht the son that same day. Pater mishum oisev is benoi. Now let's do the turning the Daf by our global international wire transfer specialist. Encore Healthcare as a schus for Klal Yisrael. Zog the Hele Gemara. Now it's beautiful. Omer Reb Shimon Lakish says Rish Lakish. What happened a person shechs an animal for avodah zarah. Now remember, when it comes to oisves benoi, you're only chayiv on the second animal. You're always allowed to shech the mother. On a regular day, on a Monday, you're allowed to shech the mother. You just now allowed to shech the son after you shech the mother. But on the mother, you don't get an isser. The isser is when you shech the second one. Shech the son, you're not allowed to shech the mother. The isser would be on the mother. So what happens by avodah zarah? Think about it. There's a concept called kimlei b'derabbanei, meaning that if you do a certain aver, let's say a person murders somebody, and while he murders him, the bullet rips the shirt. As an example, I don't know if this is the real thing, but since you're chayiv misa for killing, for murdering, you don't pay for the shirt. You only pay for you only get one. It's not double jeopardy, really, but you only get one punishment, and you get the larger of the two punishments. Oh, so when it comes to avodah zarah, a person gets misa for avodah zarah. So you wouldn't be chayev on oisves benoi, but that's only if the avodah zarah is on the second animal. If the first animal is the avodah zarah animal, which is there's no isser of oisves benoi on the first animal, and in the second animal there's no avodah zarah, then this halacha doesn't apply, says the Gemara. Sorry, that's when it applies. That's the only time it can apply. The first one is avodah zarah, the second one is not. But if the first one is a regular animal, the second one is the avodah zarah, potter. Why? The kimlei b'derabbanei. The Chazon Ish went to visit a school. He was faharing them, and he says, "What is kimlei b'derabbanei?" Now, there has to be a lot of people who don't know what it is. I heard of Ma'aseh Shahaya where a Toyin Rabbani, one of these lawyers in a Bezdin, had a situation where a woman lawyer came and she was fighting him in Bezdin. So he tells her, he says, "But it's kimlei b'derabbanei." And because she didn't know what it was, she like, "Oh, okay, fine," and she let it go. And then later on, she met him and she says, "What are you talking about, kimlei b'derabbanei? It had nothing to do with the case." He goes, "I know, it had nothing to do with the case." I go upon him. He asked the kids, "What's kimlei b'derabbanei?" So this is really good for Hebrew speakers. One of the kids says, "Kimlei b'derabbanei." Kimlei means you should stand up b'derabbanei for the Rebbe. You should stand up for the Rebbe. So the Chazon says, "Oh, it's a beautiful pshat, beautiful," but there's other pshat into that also. Great. So you hear what's going on here? It's a murdic thing. That if a person is chayiv on animal number 2 for avodah zarah, he can't be chayiv for oisves benoi. That's a much smaller isser, and we're not going to count it. He's not going to get malchus for that. Yeah. Oh, here's a good video for kimlei b'derabbanei. So just to explain, this is on Shabbos, the sing Zmir Shabbos, and here I'll just explain there. This is actually the Hebrew shir singing. This is MDY. On Shabbos, Nebuch is getting to the car, and it's not an electric car. Fire on Shabbos.
אתה צריך לשלם על הנזק.
למה? הרי kimlei b'derabbanei.
הלכה כרבי יוחנן, שאם לא הייתה התראה, הוא חייב.
Oh, so what's going on here? So let's see. Says the Gemara, The Kim Levi Darmani. Oh, Malay Rabbi Yochanan says, Zu afidu tinoigisha beis Rabbi Yochanan. Even a child knows this halacha. Oh. Ella, pa'amim shafidu shachad rishon l'shulchanoi v'sheni lavid zara chayiv. There is a case where even though the second animal was the Avodah Zarah animal, he's still chayiv for oisav his benoi. How's it possible? You can go in the asrubei mishum oisav his benoi, v'le asrubei mishum Avodah Zarah. So here's a beautiful machlokes. If a person commits an aveira that has two components to it, like in our case, component A is the Avodah Zarah, component B is the oisav his benoi, but the Eidim only warned him on the lesser of the two. The Eidim said, "You're oivra and oisav his benoi." They didn't realize that he's doing Avodah Zarah. They didn't care about Avodah Zarah, whatever the thing is. Do we say the fact is the Maisa at the end of the day he did Avodah Zarah and he did oisav his benoi? So what if he wasn't warned? This is an aveira that has a larger component to it. He shouldn't be chayiv for that, for even the smaller component. Or no, since the Eidim ignored the larger one, let's be mechayiv this guy at least for the smaller one. So that's a machlokes between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish. She says, had they done Hasra, he would have been Potter. So even if they didn't do Hasra, he's also Potter. Says the Gemara, they argue in the same exact thing somewhere else. The Gemara is going to say, why do I need them to argue in two places? And that's the end of the Amud. The Chiyazar of Dimi Omar Chayav Mises Shagim. Here's the case. A person is, if he would do it deliberately, he would be Chayav Misa. But he did it by mistake. V'chayav Malkus Shagigin. Same thing, he would be Chayav Malkus, but Shagig. V'dover Acher. And he did, let's say, he stole a piece of meat that's in a nevela. So he's chayiv on the stealing and he's chayiv on the nevela. So there's a component of a monetary component. Because he stole it, he has to pay. Rabbi Yochanan chayiv. He's chayiv for the money part. Rish Lakish potter. And Rish Lakish says he's potter. Why? Rabbi Yochanan chayiv the holy asra. At the end of the day, there's no asra, so you have to pay. The kivin, but it's a case that had they warned him, he would have been chayav a much larger amount, a much larger thing. So therefore, you don't pay the smaller thing. Had they warned him on the misa part, he wouldn't have had to pay. So it's kilu. It's as if they warned him and he's potter. Or it's that kind of aveira that there's a large component, a small component. He's potter. So the Gemara Tzrich, I need both cases. Our case by a person who's shechs for Avodah Zarah, and the case over there where there's a money component. The Yashmin Baha. If it only talks about somebody that's shechs for Avodah Zarah, Baha Kamer Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. Over here, there's a misa which affects the body, and there's malchus which affects the body. So that's why Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish says, you potter. But when you have to just pay money, maybe he'll be massing that she should pay. If it only says the case of the money, so that he has to pay the small amount. But when it comes to the malchus and the misa, two things that have to do with a person's body. Maybe you'd agree that he's potter. I need the two arguments. Rabboisai, have a wonderful day. Regards from Yavan. Zeigezon.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.